Hello, welcome everyone. I'm John Person from PersonsPlanet.com, and with me today is Jeffrey Kennedy from ElliottWave.com. Jeffrey, welcome to the Las Vegas Traders Expo.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
So, let's. I think a lot of people are probably interested in a few things. How to get rich quick with limited risk, and probably market direction techniques.
Okay.
So, your expertise is Elliott Wave.
Yes.
And what have you brought to the table this year in the markets? What do you see? And what has Elliott Wave helped you with to make decisions in the market?
Well, at Elliott Wave International, my primary job is Chief Commodity Analyst.
Okay.
So I focus primarily on the commodities.
Very nice.
And right now, I'm excited about a few markets, actually.
Okay.
Specifically coffee.
Coffee?
I think coffee is going to be quite impressive in 2020.
So are we paying more or less?
We're going to pay more.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
All right.
We've been actually working a very nice Elliott Wave pattern in the coffee market since 2015, and I think we're bottoming out. If we can get through about 125, 130 in coffee, I think we're good for a run on 170, 175 as we move into 2020 or 2021.
So it's interesting because in, like say, a mass macro view of markets, when we get into a late stage economic development, which would be quite unusual because a lot of people are prognosticating a recession. And so when we get into late stage commodity cycles in the business cycle, a lot of people see commodities start to rise in price. And do you feel that this coffee could be part of that, or is this just maybe a one-off market?
Well, what's important to remember about commodities and long-term cycles is we're currently in a secular commodity bear market. It began in 2010 and it's not scheduled to terminate until 2030.
Okay.
So overall, I think the drift is going to be to the downside in commodities. But a commodity bear market is different than, say, an equity bear market, where you might see an individual stock go from $100 a share to $1 a share. Commodities, they behave much differently. You see a lot of volatility. Big moves down, followed by bigger moves to the upside. And I think the next move up will be a big move into 2020, 2021, but that's going to be a bear market rally. So any strength that we see over the next year or two, it's going to fail. And we're going to continue lower into that 2028, 2030 time frame.
So for viewers watching right now, I think maybe we'll talk a little bit about when I said an overall commodity move. We have obviously energy, we have the agricultural space, the meats, the grains, and again what we call the softs, which is coffee, which is cocoa, coffee, and sugar. So back in the early mid-70s, we had an explosion in the commodity scene, sugar, and it was almost like a get-rich-quick. You don't see that. This is more, like I said, a one-off of just the coffee move.
Oh, no, not one-off. No, not at all. Well, remember, the last time we really saw a top, I believe, in the commodity market was 1980. Okay? So the up moves in the commodity cycle, they last about 10 years. The down moves last about 20 years. For example, going back to, say, the 2000 time frame, if you look at gold, if you look at crude oil, we saw massive advances for about a 10-year period in those markets, just like we did between 1970 and 1980. But following the 1980 peak, for example, in gold, it was nothing but a grind lower all the way into the 2000s. We're in that phase right now where I think we're just going to continue to slide lower for the next 10 years. Okay.
So for those that are interested in just possibly this coffee move to the upside, a lot of investors are, in the recent, say, 5 years, there's been a big push in education for stock and equity option trading. So commodities hasn't garnered a lot of attention. Yeah, the regular traders out there, they want to trade maybe Forex, foreign currencies, they want to trade the E-mini S&Ps. But for coffee, you obviously have to open a commodity account. Maybe we could talk a little bit about what it takes for trading coffee, the dynamics, the point move. So just to give people maybe a look-see so that they can take a little initiative to exploring before this move takes place and prepare themselves. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that.
Well, I do believe there are a few ETFs that track commodities that you can actually look at, so you don't have to expose yourself to the risk of the futures market. You can actually trade like the underlying ETF. Like, for example, XLE is an ETF that tracks energy. GDX, that's an ETF that tracks gold. We have a number of individual ETFs that also track commodities as well. So if they're not familiar with the futures markets, they can begin to have some commodity exposure by looking at ETFs.
So how would they have exposure to coffee for this play?
Well, coffee actually does have an ETF, but I don't recall the ticker symbol at the moment. but that's one way they can play.
So DBA is the Deutsche Bank symbol for
Grains, I believe.
agricultural, but it doesn't have as much weight with coffee.
No.
So people would probably take exposure to coffee with just the futures itself, but they also have options, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So if someone's interested, start looking at what would you suggest they do to start learning about trading coffee?
Oh, to start learning about trading coffee?
So if you're expecting this big move in coffee, you're just not going to jump in and buy it, right? You want our viewers for the Money Show to be prepared a little bit. What would you suggest they do first?
Well, they should come to the Money Show. They should come to the Traders Expo.
There you go.
Well, no, the reason why is because technical analysis, that's my specialty, of course, it's essential. Technical analysis, I believe, is very much of a language. And the better you understand the language of a technical analysis, the better you'll be able to understand the narrative of the market. So if you're not familiar with technical analysis or trading, come to the show, meet the presenters, meet the speakers. We're here to help.
So our guests online, if they wanted to go visit your website, elliottwave.com,
Yes.
do you have information about finding more about commodity trading?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great.
I actually have two services at Elliott Wave International. I'm the chief commodity analyst, of course, but I also am the editor of Traders Classroom. And in Traders Classroom, I teach trading, I teach technical analysis, I teach the Elliott Wave principle. So I think that would be a good place to start for those who are new.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you for being with us here at the Las Vegas Traders Expo with Jeff Kennedy of Elliott Wave International. Thank you, everyone.